prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Regg.
And I'm Taurian B.
And how we doing today, sir?
Good, man. Good.
Good?
Let me rub this in like that. Just putting on the baby oil Vaseline earlier today and then rub it all the way in.
Yeah, man.
Cocoa butter, baby.
Damn, when did we leave off? So last time I think that we recorded, my friend was coming in town.
Okay, how did that go?
That went amazing. So she had a great time. I felt like I owed her that time because every time I come to Detroit and we link up and, you know, she's the one that like drives and goes to my mom's house and checks on my mom. Like, so she's like one of my really good friends. So I feel like it was my due diligence to make sure that the first time in New York was a great one.
All right, so let's hit a lineup.
Yeah, so I took her to Brooklyn. Went to Brooklyn. We went to Sweet Chick. She wanted to go there. Went to Brook. So my plan was to go to Brooklyn and then kind of work our way back down into the city.
Okay.
So that's what we did. So we went to Brooklyn, walked around. I showed her Barclays Center. And the funny thing about tourists, right, like, is that for us in New York, we're so destination based that like when we get somewhere, it's like, all right, well, what do we do here, right? But tourists just want to go and just see shit and just. It's like, all right, cool. And it's like, you don't want to do nothing. So she wanted to go to Barclay. She took some photos and she was like, all right, yeah, this is it. And I'm like,
that's right.
Okay, yeah, you don't want to go inside. Like, you don't want to. She's like, no, yeah, I mean, this is cool. You know,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, what we doing next? It's like, all right, cool. Well, we go eat. So we went to eat. And then after that, we worked our way down into the city, went to 34th. I took her to look at Madison Square. Because she was quoting Rush Hour, the end of Rush Hour, like, I always wanted to see the Knicks play. So we saw Madison Square Garden, and then around that time frame of us walking, because we was walking to Empire State. So I was walking to Empire State, and then I was like, someone just told me, like, yo, check these Chappelle tickets, because Chappelle's playing at Apollo.
Okay.
With Jon Stewart. So I was like, that'd be so fire, because tickets was just too high. I was like, man, that'd be dope if I could take her to Apollo for like reasonable tickets and just to go to Harlem. What a Harlem statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked like the last 30 minutes and tickets had dropped by like $300 from what they originally was. I was like, Ashley, we're going to Apollo. She's like, what? She's like, we're going to Apollo? We seeing Chappelle? And she like almost started crying. It was nice. So like we went to Apollo, saw Chappelle kill it, and Jon Stewart killed it. And then at the end of their sets, they both came back out and just sat on the stool and just talk shit.
Okay.
For like 30 minutes, just like talking. And it was packed in there, man. And they fucking killed it. And, you know, of course, phones is locked up for those sets. So you really just got to experience it.
Love that.
And this was all in one day. So like after that, we went back uptown, went to my place, dropped off our things. And then my boy was throwing like a bonfire. So I went to the bonfire. And then that was like
perfect timing.
Yeah, all in one shot. And the other days she just ate random shit, you know, wanted her chopped cheese. We didn't go to Haji's, but we went to like another good spot. And we had like other food that she just never tried before. She had a great time. Really good time.
I've had trips like that where I've like brought friends to New York. And the funny thing is when you do that, right? They think they go back home thinking you the littest nigga in the world.
God.
Because they're just like, yo, how did you know to do all this in one day? Because for most people, one of those things is a one day thing. Mm-hmm. So that's like me hearing you do that. That reminds me like of the times like, I don't know if you remember like my homegirl Brittany from Atlanta that had came up.
Yeah, I remember.
So when Brittany came up and like stayed with me and like, I forgot, like, we went to, like, 3 clubs in, like, one night, and, like, everywhere we went, because, like, I was a promoter and I knew people, I didn't have, like, we just went straight to the front. Yeah, she was like, all these people know you? Yeah. Like, she just couldn't believe that shit.
Yeah.
She was like, and you ain't even have to, like, explain yourself. Like,
yeah, just walk right in. And it was funny because even that day in Brooklyn, I ran into 2 different people that I knew from different parts of life. Like,
yes.
And they just walked, like, oh, my God, Reggie. And she's like, man, you know everybody. Like shit like that. And then when we hit LES, I ran into a couple people I knew there, and it was like, yo, New York, trust me, New York is way smaller than you think.
Yo, you know? Yes. Been
out here for a while. This really is perspective. I've been out here for a minute.
Yeah.
I know some people.
Nah, it's so funny that you say that, because like I got plenty of friends that really like truly be like, nah, Taurian, like you ever go to New York and hang out with Taurian? Nah, he know everybody. Like my cousins, like when they come up here and stuff, like to visit, I'll be putting so much pressure on myself to make sure they have a good time. I'll literally do shit that I would never do to make sure that they have a good time.
Fact.
And like, so like they go back home or like my mama call me and be like, well, you did it again because your cousin's telling everybody that they had the best time with you in New York. What did you do this time? And I'm like, oh well, this person was in town, or like I like took them to Coney Island and we just so happened to freaking see 50 Cent performing at a free concert.
Yeah.
Like
just so happened. Yeah. That's really how it be, man, because living in New York and like being of age now and being here for as long as we have, like going outside used to be our thing, but now we don't go out. I know I don't go out as much and you don't go out as much anymore, but we know where the good times are if we need to go out.
It's very true.
So just being able to be like, all right, let me wrap my head around this. I'm about to be outside this fucking, this weekend, and just knowing where everything is at. And we have the benefit of just some of our good friends are DJs.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so
that helps a lot.
That does help a lot.
Yes.
That does help.
We know where everything is. But yeah, shout out to Ashley. She had a great time.
That's amazing.
What else is going on?
Okay. So my birthday passed. I turned 38, guys.
Yes, sir.
I'm old. I did not do a lot for my birthday for the simple reason, I just didn't want to go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like truly, like I didn't. And like I have this joke with Sarah where like I'm like, I just want a steak dinner for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, like we would go on these extravagant trips, so like we would go all these places and do everything but eat a steak dinner. So this year I was like, you're gonna give me my steak dinner. That's what I want. So we went to Keen's Steakhouse, which is the second oldest steakhouse in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. It looks like a museum in there because it's just very old timey shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like as you can imagine, like Theodore Roosevelt ate there and shit. Like shit. Like actually, Theodore Roosevelt ate there, and then if I'm not mistaken, there's a Abe Lincoln chair in there or something like that. I don't know what room it is, but it's like, and it's 3 stories high. So like they have like all these like different rooms you can like dip off into and shit like that. They have like a large collection of like smoking pipes, and like just it's just old, like, and just all these like Americana kind of things in there. So they're known for their mutton chops. Mutton chops are basically pork chops, but it's just a different cut of the like lamb chops. It's just a different part of the lamb.
Yeah.
Or the sheep,
it's like
whatever.
For you that are confused, it's the Benny the Butcher sideburns.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
The mutton chops. Yeah, the muttons. So yeah, you go there, you have that, and like that's truly all like I really wanted to do. My birthday was on a Wednesday. Like we did that. Like we walked around the city, we got dressed up, and then like we came home and watched YouTube.
Fire.
That's what I wanted to do.
That's
like
fire.
that's truly like what I wanted to do, and I did
like that. Shit like that is great, man. Especially you have a partner that's just down for shit like that, and just and just chill out at the end of the day.
I was impressed.
Yeah,
but
low maintenance. Yeah, we get the more low maintenance we get.
Yeah, man, especially like when you do a lot. But I do think that next year I don't know why, but like for some reason, like I kind of like and maybe I'm wrong. I'll figure it out as the year goes on. But I might do something big for my 39th instead of my 40th.
Okay,
I'll figure it out because the thing is that my 40th will be Sarah's 35th, and I kind of want to do something big for Sarah.
Okay,
so I kind of want to offset the years.
Okay, yeah, shit, it is what you make it, man.
Yeah, it is what you make it. But
and what else? So I was gonna bring up because we both you've seen it twice now, but Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
For those that haven't seen it,
spoilers.
No, I don't know how you haven't yet. I don't know how you've avoided or if you've avoided.
It's on Twitter. Entire movie. Watch it on Twitter.
That shit is insane. Like it's crazy how much this movie is online. But I spoke to somebody yesterday, one of my coworkers, and he's like, "Yo, I haven't seen not one spoiler, and I'm seeing it in a couple days."
He's lucky.
Yeah, he's very very lucky, man. But needless to say, we've seen it. What you think of it? I know the first time you saw it, you was like, "Yo, it was just okay."
I think I was being too critical. It was a good movie. I wasn't like super duper blown away, but I also know that like there's a lot of scene where I'm finding out there's a lot of shit that was edited out. They shot a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They shot a lot because Cyclops is in it too, and
Yeah.
they're throwing like leaf photos of that. So I'm pretty sure like there's even more stuff that like just got like left on the cutting room floor. So with that being said, and like the expectations, because I'm like I kind of wanted to see like all the entire X-Men team, and like, and I get it, like certain things will get lost in the story, and that's just my imagination like veering off too much, and like I had to like wrangle it in, and then just understand like the premise of the movie. Was it a good movie? Did the job get accomplished? The things
did
happen?
It set up, and did it properly? What? So there
Set up
was two things. Exactly. Yeah. So there was two things that I think were the purpose of the movie. One, it was to set up what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it was a big apology for this past phase. It wasn't people that weren't that receptive to phase 4.
Yeah.
And the multiverse and everything like that we got, right?
Yeah.
So I think Deadpool is such a cheat code for Marvel, and they're using him properly so far.
I agree.
So I got all of that out of it.
Yeah, right. I don't disagree. Like I said, like the cameos were great. All the costumes were like spot on. Like they did such a good job with the costumes. Such a good job. Seeing Channing Tatum as Gambit.
Oh my goodness.
And it's funny because like I really couldn't see it because I'm like he doesn't like he's not a Cajun. Like, you know, it just didn't make sense to me. And then like seeing it in the movie, even though it was more on a comedy side, I'm fully aware that he could have pulled that movie off.
He definitely could have pulled it off. I think my beef back then with getting the Gambit movie was the fact that we didn't have a proper X-Men movie at the time. So like, it was like, yo, why are y'all putting all these stakes into a Gambit movie when we still need this proper introduction for X-Men to go into the MCU? And back then, I was just like an afterthought, and they were focusing on a Gambit movie. And I'm like, man, what the fuck is Fox doing? We haven't even properly gotten Gambit in an X-Men movie at that point. So I was like, what are we doing?
Right, because he was in Wolverine originally. That was a terrible game.
Yeah, so it didn't make sense back then. I think now it works with him being a side character. I'm still not invested in it being a full movie because how could they do that with that accent for a whole movie and it not just be a comedy? Like it just gave off comedy vibes, and so he works as a side character with that. That
was good. I wouldn't mind seeing him like and that like be a part of like the X-Force with Deadpool and like do that. Like I get what you're saying. Him as a lead, you just like nah.
Yeah, nah.
I'm gonna laugh the whole movie.
Exactly. Like even when bad shit is happening to him, like I'm still gonna laugh.
Right. Obviously seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade like was like the, you know, like the audience went crazy for that. I realized that I had to stop doing this, and like Regg tells me all the time. So there's certain actors that like I just have in my mind like to see them a certain way, and like seeing them age and like how they change as they get older like fucks with me. So that's Eddie Murphy, that's Wesley Snipes, you know, Martin Lawrence, like they like seeing them age and like remembering like where they were when they were in their 20s and their 30s as actors, as people. People change, people evolve. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things that they just it just happens. For me, it's very hard to see that, and I'm just like, damn, like I miss how they were at this time. But then you gotta remember like that it happens. Like you know, people change, and like I have to become more accepting of it because I'm pretty sure there's people that like I probably might have not had like deep conversation with since my 20s that talk to me now, and they'll be like, "Yo, what happened to you?"
Yeah. And that's a good way to think about it. I think there's certain actors where I just appreciate how they are now. Like, you know, like Denzel. Denzel is turning 70 this year, and he's still like he still has like that spirit that I like. Like, you know,
he does
laughs like his laugh is just like. It's like he laughs uncontrollably, but then also there's the element of him that I appreciate because he's not on social media. He's not overexposed. That's what I like about Eddie too. Like he's just aging and he still looks the same, but he just, you know, he's older. He looks wiser. You know, with Martin, I think what it is that I guess part of it for me, I feel like I'm being lied to about his health a little bit. And it's at the end of the day, it's none of my business, right? But it's like, man, don't lie to me. I know something happened. Something is off, bro.
But I thought it was so. Did he deny having a stroke, or they?
Yeah, he didn't. So they said like they were concerned about your health. And he was like, yo, I'm fine. I'm the healthiest. I'm really healthy. Like, I'm good. Like, he just umbrellas it with that.
Okay.
Because
I'm almost sure he had a stroke. Like, you can look at, like, there's, like, I'm not saying that, like, guessing. Like, I have relatives that had strokes. I think he had a stroke. And I think, like, he just don't want to talk about it. Like, he went to rehab, he did what he had to do, and he has enough money to make sure that people don't know exactly what's going on. So that's cool. But seeing Electro was cool. Obviously, seeing Chris Evans reprise his role as Johnny Storm was cool.
Yeah,
which
that's really cool.
Which I think, well, we'll get to that part. Which I think, like, also set up to answer questions for Marvel fans going forward with characters and stuff like that, playing dual roles. The villain in the movie, Cassandra Nova, was really cool. Mr. Paradox, me and Danny had this conversation, and I'm not 100% sure. So if you Google Mr. Paradox, apparently he's a variant of Morbius from the Loki show. So Danny was telling me, he was like, yo, he's a variant of Morbius. But when you Google it, it says that as well. But then I saw other people saying, like, yeah, Marvel saw that, but, like, no, Marvel just separated it. Like, they're just two completely separate people in the Marvel universe. Yes, in the comic books, like, they're variants and everything like that. But, so it was just something where I was like, who is right? And so I left it alone, because I know when I disagree with Danny, he wants to fight. So I just left it alone.
Yeah,
and now
this is a future version of Mobius.
Right. So, like, so I just had to, like, leave it alone, because, I like, they didn't allude to anything with Morbius, but, like, when you Google it, it says that. So I left it alone. But yes, again, I really like the movie. I like the trailer. I'm gonna tell you my favorite scene of the movie. My favorite scene of the movie was when he was talking to Happy Hogan.
I love that scene. There's so many Easter eggs in that scene. Yeah. It's crazy.
That was my favorite. Like, completely. Like, of the whole, like, I understand other things happen, fight scenes, all that, but that dialogue and that interaction in that scene was fucking.
And it happened so early.
Chef kiss.
Like, it really sets up so much in the movie. Trying to think, what's my favorite scene in the movie? Favorite fight scene is when they're in the void, and
so the first fight scene,
the first one between him and
Logan
and Logan. Yeah.
That was a good fight scene. Yeah, yes, it was.
No, actually, no. It's the car. It's the car
in the car.
Yeah, fight scene.
The fight scene in the car was.
But but what was so dope about the fight scene in the void was him being like, nah, like, people waited for this. People waited for this. It's about to go down. I wish we got, like, maybe 2 minutes of Hulk when we saw Hulk.
Budget.
Yeah.
Right, when it went over the budget.
So Hulk is one of those characters you either get, like, that much or, like, a lot. So they did it right. They did it.
Yeah. Seeing, and then, also another highlight, seeing the different Wolverines and seeing, I was hoping, I knew about Henry Cavill, but I was hoping that we were going to get Harry Potter as Wolverine as well.
Oh, that would have been crazy. That would have been crazy.
I feel like they filmed it.
About that. I didn't think,
because they talked about him being Wolverine as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I really genuinely think they filmed it.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
But yeah.
But also a tidbit that I just saw today, Wesley Snipes' appearance in this makes him the longest running character.
Congratulations, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, makes him the longest
Congratulations.
World records, because at first it was held by Hugh Jackman, because he played the same character for 24 years. And Wesley being in this reignites him being Blade from 98. So
fucking congratulations, nigga.
Longest running.
Also, so comic, all right, let's just get into it. San Diego Comic-Con just commenced. So we got to see a panel for the Thunderbolts in the Thunderbolts movie. That was cool. I watched the entire thing. So we got to see that. We got to see the panel for the Fantastic Four, which I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. Like, I just love the dynamic of their family. I love their storylines. I've read multiple stories for the Fantastic Four. So seeing, like, what the premise is and seeing, like, that they just did test shots and they made that a fucking trailer. That's, do you understand? Like, that leaked trailer is not the trailer.
Yeah.
That was just for Comic-Con, and they just did that to give Friends of Tea. And they did that in, like, a day. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
That trailer's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, so
yeah, because they did that, and they've been doing Hall H for years now. So like they know what comes with it. They know shit is gonna leak. So they made it specifically for that.
Right. I think that's dope because like I was explaining to somebody, I'm like, that's not the trailer. Like they haven't even started production on the movie yet. Like that was just like test shit that they did, and it just looked fucking amazing.
I wish New York's Comic-Con was half of what they get out there.
I wonder why it's not. And I don't have an answer. Like, I wonder why it's not. I'm gonna ask.
It's the center that it's at, because it's at Javits Center.
Yeah, it's either that. I don't know. It could be multiple things. I'm gonna ask my cousin though, because he goes like on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then, we got the announcement of all announcements that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU as Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom. That's very specific, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That he's coming back as Victor Von Doom.
Yeah.
Not as Tony Stark Iron Man.
So there's I saw a little animosity toward that. I think my thing with that is that I wish they cast because I think I know what direction they're going down, but I wish they cast a actor that wasn't as well known as Robert Downey Jr. because Victor Von Doom, like his mask is on, like his mask is, part of his element. And I think with this, it might compromise the character a little bit because we're going to see his face a lot. It's Robert Downey Jr. You don't pay that much to not see his face.
We not watching this.
You don't think so? I don't know, man.
I think that. Oh, well, I'll let you finish your thought. And then
I mean, that was
okay.
Part of it, yeah.
So I think they are going to cover his face. He's Victor Von Doom. And the whole thing is that, like, in some of the Fantastic Four comic books, the gag is that there's nothing wrong with his face. But, like, he has, like, a scratch on his face and he thinks that he's imperfect and that he's ugly. So, like, that's like the gag of it. And then there's some where his face is so deformed and fucked up that he actually can fix it and he just won't.
Yeah.
Right? But I think I think RDJ, now that he's won this Oscar for Oppenheimer, is now so arrogant. He's like, yo, I can wear this mask and I can do this character and like be great at it, and really, really cement myself as like the fucking, you know what I'm saying, like the fucking actor of all actors of the generation.
Do you think he's gonna put on weight?
Or to make that, I don't think he has to.
No.
I don't think he has to. I really think what Marvel was trying to do is basically show that like they can make the most beloved character, and maybe Robert Downey Jr. like him and his ego really thought this, make the most beloved character of the whole first run of Marvel become the most hated character. It's kind of like Hulk Hogan turning into Hollywood Hogan.
Hollywood, yeah.
And seeing like if you can do that. And I think RDJ wanted to take on that challenge. Also, I think he didn't mind the money that they're going to give him. So they were just like, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that they had to do this because Marvel to many people wasn't doing well. I was cool with it. I was cool with going through the motions and figuring out I was going to watch it regardless, but they weren't getting good feedback. Black Widow, a lot of people weren't happy with. A lot of people didn't like the Marvels.
I like them.
Yeah, I like the Marvels. I like Black Widow. What else came out? The TV shows. Like some people like didn't get WandaVision. I know. A lot of people didn't get the TV shows and stuff like that. WandaVision, Hawkeye, Captain America, Winter Soldier, like. There were, Loki, like some of that shit, some people didn't even watch. And I think that they were like, all right, we got to do something. We got to make a splash. We got to do something that's going to get everybody's attention. What's going to get everybody? There was only two things that they can do to get everybody's attention. Two. That was bring back Robert Downey Jr. or bring back Chris Evans as Captain America. And I think, and Chris Evans has to play Captain America. But I think Robert Downey Jr. he's a really good actor, and I think that they were able to do that. And I think that
bringing back the Russo brothers
because you got if you're gonna bring back the nostalgia, you got to bring it back. That's just like if you're an artist, like you like, listen, we going back to the basics, like you know what I'm saying. So all right, cool. Let me get the producer I started with, like let me go record. Jay-Z, like let me go record in the old studio. Let me put on my Biggie Jesus piece chain. Let me not cut my hair. You know what I'm saying, like. Little shit like that. So I just think Marvel was just like, all right, cool. Like there are kids that were like There are people that were children when they saw the Infinity Saga. So now they're growing up. So now it's like they hear that name is familiar.
And there's people that are thinking about, you know, Winter Soldier as being still the best one. And so I think they released a statement that said that it's going to be in line with that.
Yeah. So I'm not mad at it. I've seen also people talk about Jonathan Majors and people reaching, trying to say that, like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. has like a rap sheet like long as like a Lifetime Criminals and everything like that. And I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. was a drug addict, and like,
detriment to himself.
Yeah, he was a detriment to himself. He got in trouble, and he was blackballed and wouldn't get insured for years. He made his he worked his way back, earned people's trust, and then he put out a couple movies. Like, you ever saw the movie Charlie Bartlett?
No, I've heard of it though.
It's actually a really good movie. Like, he was in that movie, and like as like the principal, like he wasn't even like number one on the call sheet. Like, he was like doing like straight to DVD movies that like nobody's heard of and shit like that. And then like he got the opportunity to do Marvel, and at that time, like, doing superhero movies wasn't a prestigious job.
Yeah.
So I think that people like are forgetting that, and I think things are being convoluted because like now Iron Man, you can't go somewhere without seeing like Iron Man or the Avengers. And
that's because people are making it a black and white thing.
Yeah, I don't think that Jonathan Majors wasn't given a grace. And truthfully, like, I'm one of those people that believe that Jonathan Majors is still going to be in MCU movies. He's just not the face of the big franchise anymore.
Yeah, I think we'll see Kang. We're not done seeing Kang.
We're not done seeing Kang, like, because like there's loose ends. It's just easier to just like not talk about it and like leave things where they are, let people think what they want to think, and then deal with it afterwards. So like, you know, now like he won't be at the Comic Cons and at the press junkets and stuff like that, because other people have gotten in trouble too. Jeremy Renner has gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, he had allegations. Nothing came of it. I forgot his name, but the young man that played Aquila. Ezra Miller, like I know his name, and I think Ezra Miller's done. Like, it's just that they spent too much money on the Flash, so they had to put that movie.
They had to,
right? And that movie, like, it was good, but it wasn't that good. But nah, the young man who played Namor.
Oh yeah.
He got in trouble he got in trouble. He had some bad press because they said that he was like making the woman, I think she's a burn victim, like he was making a blonde, like make her feel uncomfortable. I forgot like what the fuck he said, but like it's fucking weird. So, you know, like people, there are people who are assigned to them that have controversy. So I think that like they just gotta lay low, like, and they just like, yo, you know what? Don't say shit. Just keep it low, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'll work and we'll get to it. So it is what it is. Yeah, this too shall pass. But like I said, I'm excited. I'm especially excited for the Fantastic Four, the Incursions. If you read the 2016 Secret Wars comic book and the 1986 Secret Wars comic book, but mainly for me, the 2016 Secret Wars comic book, like, you should be very excited about what's to come with Marvel. If you know about that, you went for a good one. I had to explain it to LaShawn, and like we would like talk about it, and like I try to make sure that I'm not a comic book snob when I'm talking to LaShawn, because I want to talk to LaShawn and like put him on the shit. And like I'm trying to explain it, and he's just like, "Yo, son, like this is like a lot." Like, and I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "All this like multiverse shit," and I'm like, "Yo, bro, but this is what's happening in the comic books." And he was like, "Nah, I just want like how like when they would just give us banger movies." And I was like, "I get what you're saying, but now like that we got the Infinity Saga, like."
The common person that's just getting into this shit is kind of a turnoff to get in on this multiverse shit. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think Deadpool was so dope because they acknowledged that. It was like, yo, enough with this multiverse shit. You know, this is losing people. And he did that at a scene where there was mad Deadpool. Scenes like, yo, enough. Yeah. So today we're going to pivot a little bit and get into the album that we're going to focus on, which is from a gentleman that we first met back in 2017. No, sorry, 2014. 2014, his debut album came out. And West Coast representer, a fresh perspective on for the West Coast, and especially at this time, because 2 years prior, we got a completely different perspective with Good Kid, Mad City. And I think this album, when it came out, kind of built off of that, but took it a little different, took a different turn on it, which we're going to dig into. And I'm talking about YG. YG's debut album came out, My Krazy Life, March 18th, 2014. And it featured guest appearances from T-Fly, Lil Wayne, Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, Big Mill, Drake, and a few others. Album was supported by 4 singles. Those singles included My Nigga, Left Right, Who Do You Love, and Do It To You. The album peaked at number 19 on the Billboard charts and went on to be certified platinum. And My Nigga specifically debuted at number 19, sorry. And that one was certified 5 times platinum. The album itself, just to go back, was certified platinum in 2017, 3 years after the album came out. What were your first thoughts on this album?
It was cool. Like I saw it and I immediately got it. Like I saw him my introduction to him was Tooted and Booted. And I did it, and I recognized that song more so for Ty Dolla $ign than him. Like I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, they got this very, very Compton West Coast guy on a song with Ty Dolla $ign. And then, you know, my nigga came out, and like at first I didn't get the song because I was like, all right, cool. Like I know this is funny because I do say nigga a lot, but like hearing him like my nigga over and over again, like it's kind of like, I can't listen to this in the car. It sounds crazy. But then the song just grew on me. And then what also helped is I actually met YG. One time my friend Al Major booked him at Greenhouse to come and he performed My Nigga. And he was staying at a hotel in Jersey and like they were like doing like press and stuff like that. And like he played some of the songs in the car. And I remember because he had I don't know if he still is manager now, his name is Pusha Rod. Okay. They were in my car. And we had to take them back to Jersey because like Al, I don't know if you remember my boy Al Major or not, but like so Al this is years later now. So like Al basically used to like do shit like get in contact with like artists from out of town and like get them booked at like clubs in New York City, but like make it sound a lot more make the situation and things sound a lot more glamorous than what they were. Like make his money, like obviously make money for the artist, but like it would just always be something. So like the guy Pusha Rod was very hip to that. So like I forgot how much money, like, you know, it wasn't a lot of money back then. I think like YG got paid like $5,000 to like make the appearance. Come to Greenhouse, like basically party and then perform my nigga, get bottles and all that shit. So he did that, and I remember like we was in the car. So it's me, Pusha Rod, YG, is it Slim 400 and like one other guy. Mind you, this is when I had the Black Pathfinder. So like it looked like a you know, a SUV truck, so they just dealt with it, but like it wasn't right. Long story short, like they were just talking, and I was like, yo, like when's the album coming? Like just making conversation. And like they was like, oh, we got it right here. You want to hear it? And like this was when CDs were still CDs. So like they played it, and like so I heard some of like it wasn't the finished album, but he had like songs, like, and he had so many songs. Like he had songs with like Crooked Eye and shit. Like, and I remember like that's what got me excited for the album, because I was like, oh, like all right, cool. Because at first I was bullshit. I didn't really want to hear the album, but like I was just making conversation. And he played it, and like, you know, on the trip to Jersey, I got to hear it, and I was like, all right, that's cool. So like, shout out to you, Pusha Rod, and shout out YG for that ride, you know?
Yeah, I never heard that story. That's funny.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool story. Like, because I'll be honest with you, like, it got awakened because of this, but like, not saying like I didn't give a fuck, but at that time, I didn't look at YG like that. Like, I was just like, all right, like this kid's coming out. And I guess like it's like a memory that I just didn't put like in the highlight films of memories that happened to me at that club. Yeah. And then when I think about it, I'm like, nah, that was a pretty dope fucking story.
Yeah, that's fire. Especially looking back at that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, it's crazy, right? Because this is 10 years ago. Like YG's been around for 10 years. Just like that. And even thinking about 2014 being 10 years ago is wild. But like you, I remember listening to when My Nigga came out. My Nigga was so popular that like back then there used to be songs that people would use like in the early social media days, like on Instagram, and like it was in skits. People would use it. And I think that helped with the popularity. You know, of course, TikTok wasn't around, but it would have been a big TikTok song in that vein. And I remember listening to YG back then and not really feeling like he was going to be one of those artists that stuck around. I felt like at the time that he caught one, you know, like, but then, like I said before, he had 4 singles off this album and all of them charted with the exception of Do It To You, which is still a good song. But one thing that stuck out to me too was that Who Do You Love, his single with Drake, was like one of his bigger songs on this album. he specifically didn't want that to be the first single on this album.
And I don't understand why.
He said that he didn't want to just ride off the coattails of Drake for his first single. So, and I respect it. I respect it, especially, and in this time.
Well, now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense. But he was like, yo, I have a surefire heater with Drake. But, you know, in retrospect, it was the right decision to make because he had a hit single on his own, you know, with production from Mustard. But he had a hit single on his own. And then not only that, because the album could have came and went, but the Who Do You Love single as the third single really gave it legs and extended the run of the album.
Yeah, you're right. He called it good.
Yeah.
What really shocked me was because what people forget is that like he was signed to Jeezy.
Mm-hmm.
CTE.
Yeah.
And I thought
it came out under CTE.
Yeah, it did. CTE Def Jam. I thought that Jeezy was kind of like Jeezy was mentoring him, but like Jeezy kind of like, you know, he did the remix to My Nigga, but like Jeezy didn't really.
He was hands off.
Yeah, like he wasn't like, I really thought like it was going to be like more like Rick Ross and Meek Mill kind of thing with Jeezy and YG. That's like what I envisioned it as. Because I knew that Jeezy, like, you know, he had stuff with like corporate thugs and like trying to push like some of his people. And I just really thought so. Like, I'm like, all right, I see what's going on. They put the affiliation, they put these two together because like, you know, bringing Jeezy's fan base to YG, like, you know, give them a reason to all like do things. But I really like, I just anticipated more music together between them.
Yeah. I think you're right. But I think it probably goes back to the Drake point where he probably told Jeezy, and that was intentional. Like, hey, I don't want to just ride your coattails.
Right.
I want you to be there for the guidance, but be hands off and let me do this shit.
Right. Because like Jeezy definitely gave him like some gems. Like he's talked about it, like Jeezy giving him like advice or like, you know, telling him what he like envisions and wants to see and do. So like, I know that much, but I was just like, damn, like, you know, like what's going on? But hey, it worked out. And that was like great. And then like, you know, also like, I mean, he had the Jeezy cosign, but like, he's one of those other West Coast artists that didn't have a cosign from Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And, you know, or like he didn't have like a West Coast cosign. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he got his deal with Def Jam and like he was getting in trouble and shit like that. But like he kind of did that without the typical West Coast cosign or whatever.
Right,
like that.
Right. And that does stick out because even Kendrick had that cosign.
Right.
You know?
So I thought that was very significant and everything.
Yeah. But I just remember when I listened to this album back then, I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I kind of, like I said, I kind of wrote him off, not like as a one-hit wonder, but I was like, I don't know what to expect from this guy. We'll see what happens or whatever. But then I dug into the album and I was pleasantly surprised by the fact of how intentional every song is, how it weaves into an actual story. And even back then I was like, damn, like I know this took a while for him to conceptualize, but it came out at such a good timing because it came out after Good Kid, Mad City. And Good Kid's perspective is built off of the fact that Kendrick wasn't a street kid.
Right.
You know, he was around for the things that was happening. And then with him being able to put together words and being a wordsmith the way that he was, he built it into a story of being like this kid that's in the hood that witnessed all these things. And then YG came from a perspective of, I'm in the hood and I'm part of the hood. And this is the story. This is my story.
Yeah, this is what we do. We rock.
Yeah, this is what we do. Yeah, this is what we do.
So
and then you go through the consequences of that.
Yeah,
and it's a real story. And it's like, holy shit! Like it took me by surprise when I heard the album.
Okay, so I have one question before we get into the album. Would you say I'm not gonna say like the best, but would you say like this like would go in like one of the top 5 and you know we always do rankings, ladies and gentlemen, so don't act surprised. Like would you say this is like one of the top 5 West Coast debut West Coast rap albums?
You know, off top, not giving it much thought, because you know when we come up with these, we
gotta think more. I'm sorry, I know I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm cool with saying that it is. I think it is. I think it should be held in higher regard, you know, because off top, I think about Good Kid. I think about the documentary. I think about,
you got Doggy Style.
Yeah. I think about Doggy Style.
The Chronic technically is Dr. Dre's solo debut album.
Yeah.
Right. So when for me, I say yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because like obviously like you have like the Dog Pounds dog food that a lot of people like really love and that's really beloved in the West Coast, right? And then you have who else can I name? I mean shit, a lot of people like Schoolboy's debut album.
Yeah, it's better than Schoolboy's debut though.
Right. And then you have like real nitty gritty like West Coast fans that'll say like DJ Quick's debut album is amazing. And even MC8. I think even Ice Cube will acknowledge that his debut solo album wasn't as strong compared to like his second album. But you know, like Ice Cube was fucking on fire at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something I really want to dive into. One day I'm gonna get you to do an Ice Cube album with me and we're gonna talk about
this before. I'm down to do Death Certificate.
All right. I just want to talk about how at one point he was the greatest rapper in the world.
Okay.
Like, and that's not me. That's not me even like being using my like old head like rapper bias. Like at one point he was the greatest rapper in the world. Like he was the most talked about, most known, most controversial, greatest. Like people thought his raps was the best. Like
I think even Complex, you know how they do that list?
They do.
Best rapper alive every year.
Yeah.
For every year.
I want to say 91 or 92 was his year.
His?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to say I think 1990 was a Tribe Called Quest and 91 was Cube. Something like that. But yeah.
So this album, getting into it, it kicks off with the mama speech intro, which is some wise words from his mom, you know, staying out of trouble and all of that stuff, which is great. Yeah. Which is a really, really great intro. It could be, you could hear some shit like this on like South Central or like, you know, all those classic hood West Coast movies, you know, and I think that was part of his inspo too. But then it kicks off into BPT, which is Bompton. And reading later on that he wanted this album to be initially called Bompton.
And Jeezy told him not to do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, why? Because you can tell he conceptualized this album to be called Bompton. It's just My Krazy Life also fits. But BPT is a knocker. Like DJ Mustard tapped into like his Dr. Dre type production for this one.
Yeah, he did.
It sounds like some Dr. Dre shit. And then leading into that takes us into I Just Wanna Party, our first featured song with Schoolboy Q and J-Rock.
Yo, bro, like this, like, so when I listen to this album, I instantly think about John Singleton and the Hughes Brothers influence on West Coast rap. Like it's like West Coast rap influenced them and they influenced the West Coast rap. It was like a very equal give and take.
Yeah.
Because when you listen to a lot of West Coast albums, it sounds so cinematic. And I think that's also because like they're right by Hollywood. So they know like people that know how to use like camera equipment and like film, and they see movies being filmed all the time and stuff like that. So they just I think they just like how New Yorkers naturally have a better fashion sense. I think that people in California have a more cinematic view of things.
Yeah.
How to like kind of build a film. I guess it's kind of in their DNA. Like even if they don't know, they just know how these things work because they're in Hollywood. They're there. So that's just me giving them that credit, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to give you an explanation.
Yeah.
It's very cool to me how this album, if I had the money, I would make this into like a short film and try to like sell it. And I think I could do a pretty good job at it.
I think he should have made a short film out of this. It would have been great.
Now I gotta Google it because I think he did.
Yeah. But I think from what we got out of this was very impressive because it's already so vivid. Now I'm curious to see if he did.
Let's see. Did he? I think he had. I know. Okay, so he has. So all right. So it didn't come to fruition, but the reason why I heard about it, YG did a 10-year anniversary. Like, so My Krazy Life, like, you know, he just did a thing on YouTube about My Krazy Life, and he talks about how they were supposed to do a movie, but things fell apart. I think he got shot.
Oh yeah, he did get shot,
and he was talking to Sycamore and people about it, and he was like, yo, I was going to shoot a movie and do it, and then I got shot, and then things just, you know, we just pivoted from that. It was time to like move on.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's where I got it from. I couldn't, like, So they didn't shoot it because he got shot.
That's crazy. But I Just Want to Party is a fucking banger. Schoolboy sounds super aggressive, but really good on this.
Yeah.
And Schoolboy, I mean, I said Schoolboy, but I meant J-Rock. And Schoolboy, I think, has the best verse on the song.
It's really funny to me how, like, you know, West Coast like parties and like party music is like so like fun, and then like you'll get like these dudes coming on there angry as hell rapping like how J-Rock was doing, and it's just like, yo, relax.
Yeah.
Wow, Calvin, chill.
Fuck with J-Rock. But then we have like a good like pocket here on this album, right? Because I Just Want to Party takes us into Left Right. It's another party song. Which is Mustard production, and I also want to apologize to Mustard, who's on a crazy run right now, because I remember specifically saying around 2013, 2014, around this time frame, I didn't think that Mustard was going to be around for as long as he is now.
Damn.
I remember comparing his run to Jazzy Faye.
Shit, Reg? You were saying that because they was fat?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know the I really don't get the correlation, but I just know I said it on record. So
I think because you felt like he was very, very of the time.
Yes, he was of the time, and that's what Jazzy Faye was at that time. Jazzy Faye had a run, and he was of the time.
There's another producer you're gonna have to apologize to soon as well.
You talking about Mike Will?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
But I love Mike Will. I never said anything bad about Mike Will. Well, never said anything bad about him.
On the spot. He won his spot back.
I just don't know how that's gonna be for him. I think Metro is light years ahead of him now.
Please.
Metro is killing.
Metro is not light years ahead of him, just that Metro was the only one, so it was easy for him to get.
I mean, him and Metro were like around the same time frame.
Yeah, they were. And then like Mike Will like made a bunch of money and it was just like, all right, I'm gonna chill for a minute. And Metro kept going.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
I know, but then when you keep going.
Yeah. Well, nah, man. You heard that song with Wayne and Yachty, man. You heard that song.
I did hear it.
Yes, you did.
I did hear it. And that song, anyway. So.
That's disrespect. Let's go.
That takes us in the Bick and Bad Being Bull. A banger.
Yo, all that makes me think about is what's his name? Thug Yoda.
Oh yeah,
Secure.
Yeah.
Bro, like this
Thug
is
Yoda.
Yeah. This like this song, man.
This is like one of them ones.
Yeah.
An unprecedented banger. I'm sorry to my brother for liking this song. But this song is a banger. Like it's just, it's authentic. It's real as fuck. It's creative. You know. Yeah, there's not enough to say about this song, but it's fire.
I'm not mad at that. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was a cool creative song, and like it started conversation. It started conversation with a lot of people. I think I'm obviously like gang culture loved it.
Yeah.
But it also made you have conversations with people like trying to replace or like give me some Bick and Back bookies.
Yeah, it does that, man, and it's just a dope song.
Yeah, so that's
just
funny.
A dope one. Meet the Flockers. Meet the Flockers is an interesting song. It's a
very interesting song.
Yeah, it's produced by Mike Free. Right off of hearing it, because I was a huge Mystical fan.
Is Mike Free related to Dave Free?
I don't know. I don't know.
Deep a darker criminal link.
Let's see. I don't know. He might be. I don't see the ties right away, but he might be. It's probably worth looking into. But yeah, so it's produced by Mike Free, and this song is interesting to me because, well, one, like I said, I was a huge Mystical fan and back in the day, and this samples the Man Right Chair off Mystical's Unpredictable album. That's one. Two, it had some controversy around it for two different reasons. One of the reasons being that at the time, it had some lyrics on it that people perceived as anti-Asian. And so they had removed one of the versions of it on YouTube or off the album, and he re-uploaded it. He had to re-upload it and take those lyrics out. Two, it was cited as being one of the reasons why there were burglaries in LA, in the South Central area, because some people, the kids that were caught doing burglaries, they cited this song for giving them directions on how to properly rob houses. Like there were 3 burglaries and they all did that. And the kids didn't have any priors.
Right.
They were like, yeah, no, this song gave us a step-by-step on how to rob people.
I find that interesting because like home invasions and Los Angeles have always been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember there was that like documentary about how like celebrities like Paris Hilton and like all those people's like houses were getting broken into because in LA like these people just leave their house, they don't lock their houses, and like people know that. So I get it. Like this song came out and like kids were saying that, but like no, like robbery in LA has been like a thing for like decades.
Yeah, but I think what the controversy was that it literally gives you a step by step, almost like the 10 crack commandments. Like it's like 1, gotta drop it. Like it literally says it.
Yeah.
Like so I think kids that were listening at that time was like, oh shit, is this really how you do it? All right, we could pull this off and doing it because it really lays it out in that way.
It does
how we're doing it. And then also with this song, this is the number 6 song on this album, and it's a pivotal part of the album because from here is when the story gets more layered within the album. Because from here is when, you know, you see all the repercussions that he goes into from this robbery, you know, from this attempted robbery of these people's houses. And we get into My Nigga, which is one of the biggest song on the album, features Rich Homie Quan and Jeezy. And like we said before, we know Jeezy's influence with him. So we don't really even have to talk about the My Nigga song.
Yeah. I do want to talk about Rich Homie Quan though.
Yeah, we could talk about Rich Homie Quan.
Yo, man, like he was on fire, bro. He was in Rich Gang. Like he helped usher in Young Thug. Like he was the flagship artist on Think It's a Game. Shout out to Think It's a Game. Shout out to Young Fly. Shout out to Lucci. Free the Gang. YFN. But yo, like he messed up that verse at the Hip Hop Honors.
Yeah,
and Biggie's verse, and it seemed like hip hop just stopped fucking with him. No, then what he did was he called Young Thug gay. And like that fucked up a lot of shit. Like it seemed like studios in Atlanta were just like, yeah, you can't work here.
Yeah. You know what's funny about him fucking up that verse, you know, when you look back at that, it's like, yeah, that was fucked up. But then why did y'all even have him doing that in the
Little Kim, I think Little Kim was just trying to do something like
to include like newer people.
Yeah, and I think because her and Quan was connecting, I think she thought it would be really dope. And I feel like what happened and I don't want to put this on all Atlanta niggas, but like a lot of the times when niggas from Atlanta meet people from New York, they tell them how much they love New York and tell them how much New York influenced them. And I believe it, but I think sometimes as a New Yorker, we think when you say that, we think you know everything about New York.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I think him, like when he was like, "Yo, I love you and Biggie," like I studied Biggie. I feel like he said that to her, and she was like, "Oh,"
she's like, "Oh, you should."
Yeah, you should do this since you love Biggie so much. Like I don't think it was like malicious in any way on her part, but it's just that I think that I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, like my friends were telling me how much like they love Cameron and Dipset and all that stuff, and then Paid in Full came out, and then I just made it even like bigger, and like them, you know, talking, hey yo son, and like how New York is talking this, and like I'm getting like no, I'm like all right, and then like you know it'll be certain things like when I would like say it to them, I ask them, and I'll be like, oh, like you like it, but you're not really like trying to like really like learn it.
Yeah, just a casual.
Yeah, you're a casual. But to a New Yorker, we take that to heart, and we think like you know everything about it. I really think that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then Lupe Fiasco did the same thing with a Tribe Called Quest that he got in trouble for and then that was like the first crack of us finding out that Lupe Fiasco wasn't the nerd that we thought he was.
I would say that one was more painful than the Rich Homie Quan thing.
It was because we thought we didn't realize that the label told him to become like a skateboard enthusiast.
Yeah. That was all by design.
Think about like, yo, man, unearthing some of this shit, finding out some of these niggas wasn't nerds the way we think that they nerds, bro.
He actually got in trouble with not trouble but beef with the ice cream sneakers. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, him and the dude Terry Kennedy, and now we finding out Terry Kennedy was a fucking murderer.
Yeah,
he was beefing with him wasn't the smartest. Yeah,
he had such a run. He had niggas wearing Supras.
Yep, he did. All right,
but yeah,
back to the album.
So we go off of the My Nigga song into Do It To You, featuring T-Fly, where we find out that he's fucking his side chick, right? And treating her like a main almost. But then at the end of the song, he finds out that his side chick, no, that his main girl is fucking with somebody else. But then this is where the storytelling and the sequencing of this album is so good, because we go into Me and My Bitch, and it features Tory Lanez, which when you think about it too, like, damn, Tory Lanez been out for mad long. But Me and My Bitch, he talks about his trust issues with women and going down that path, and it directly ties into her fucking with somebody else, right? Because he's uncovering a real story in his life and how it went down. So I think it's a really good song. Terrence Martin is credited on production on this, which I thought was really cool. And then of course we get into Who Do You Love, right? Which features Drake. You know, big moment on this album, big single for YG. You remember hearing this one?
Of course. For the first time, like I just thought that Drake's flow on this shit was fucking.
Yeah, he sounded good.
Oh my god, man! Like Drake floated, bro. Because it felt like he kind of like used like a Oakland kind of Northern California flow, and like I really like appreciated it. And I was like, yo, this is some good rapping right here. God damn it!
Yeah, he sounded really good. I don't know. I don't know where Drake stands with YG after this whole thing with him and Kendrick, but
I think they fine.
They had a great run together.
They did. I agree with that. I think they're fine. I think Drake, I think, all right, if Tory Lanez was home, I don't think that Tory Lanez would have been like, yo, I'm neutral. I think he would have sided with Drake because like Toronto, they already had to get their shit in order.
They already went through it.
Yeah. So, and I think Tory, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like a thing like, yo, this home, like I live with where he's from. Like, I have to go back home. I don't think we can go to Toronto anymore.
I was just going to say, what about,
I don't think Abel really, but also like Abel has people that are solid in Toronto as well, you know, Cash, like those people. So, who knows? He has his own mob ties. As I might say.
Yeah. So, funny enough, you know, you got a Drake feature followed by a Kendrick Lamar feature. And that's on Really B, which is Smoking and Drinking. Right. And on this, you know, these niggas is just unpacking their vices and their struggles of like, yo, this is why I be drinking. This is why I be smoking. This is what I got going on. This is what I got going on. Yeah. This is how I escape.
Right. And I believe Kendrick talks about two of his friends dying on this track.
Yeah, he does.
Also, I want to say something because like during the whole Drake and Kendrick beef, not to bring it up, people kept mentioning how like Drake gave so many artists verses and uplifted them and everything like that. Kendrick gives everybody a verse. Like I think that needs to be like debunked. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like Kendrick has worked with so many artists. It's just that Drake is a fucking pop star. He's a bigger artist. So his verses and the songs that he contributes to are going to like be #1 records. But like sometimes I'll listen to like an obscure album, like, and I'm like, yo, I forgot Kendrick was on this. Like, because I truly, like, at one point I was thinking to myself, like, damn, like, Kendrick ain't give YG a verse, like, before I revisited this album. I'm like, he's on his first album. So it's like people just build narratives off of things that they don't know. Like, people are like, yo, like DJ Vlad, he was like, yo, like, I feel like a lot of these artists should have been standing next to Kendrick. Like, you know, Drake helped them out and this and that. And like Big Wack is like, well, why you think that? Like, he was like, they didn't step up and defend Drake. And Big Wack was like, why another man need to defend another man? Like, you know, like, and he was like, well, I did that for Boosie because Aiden Ross did this and that, and I stood up for Boosie. And I was just like, I don't think Boosie gave a fuck if you did or not, bro. Like, it was just stupid. And like, I just think that like some people, like, they just take like, especially somebody like Vlad, like he feels the need that he needs to like voice that and say that. I'm like, why you even need to tell people that? I don't think Boosie needed you to stand with him. No. Like, no. But those are things that like happen. And like, it's just very interesting to me, that narrative that they tried to push that like Kendrick just, I'm like, yo, Kendrick had a song with Gunplay and like he didn't need to. And it's probably one of the greatest verses that Kendrick has ever had on cartoons and cereal.
Yeah. Facts. So Really B, like we said, amazing verse from Kendrick. And it ties in really well with the theme of this album. Like, we go into 1 a.m. 1 a.m. is another really pivotal part of this album because it directly ties into Meet the ties into the repercussions of Meet the Fockers, Meet the Fockers and the robbery and everything, right? It was produced by Metro Boomin. 1 a.m. he's going out, you know, with his friends after hours, and they get into some shit, you know, and then his friends end up leaving him. They're the ones that talked him into even going out at that hour. He sneaks out. He sneaks out and they have a night, and then his friend leaves him. He gets locked up, and then thank God the interlude, that shit directly ties in. I love the interlude because it's his friend calling his mom like, "Yo, he just got into some shit. This is what happened. We're gonna need to put up some money and get him together, get him out of this." You know, and he starts questioning his circle, right? Starts questioning the people around him. He starts questioning why he even went out. You know, all of the shit that goes down when he and gets in trouble. Right. And so this was a really pivotal part of this album, and it just ties into a song that was like 5 songs ago. You know, 6 songs ago.
Some Hughes Brothers shit.
Yeah. And we get into Sorry Mama.
Hold on, before we get into Sorry Mama, I just want to say Free TC.
Oh yeah, Big TC.
Big TC. That's my, like, I love that nigga, bro. I love Ty Dolla $ign's brother.
Yeah. Yo, he sat. It reminded me of Nate Dogg, what he did on this song.
Yeah. Like, he's really good, bro. And I'm like, damn, like, how much longer he got? Like, Ty Dolla $ign, like, I'm like, yo, Ty Dolla $ign, get your brother out, man. like, we got Big Hit out of jail, bro. Like,
bruh. Yeah, man, you're right. I don't know how much longer he got, but I haven't really heard Ty Dolla say anything about. But actually, he was holding up a portrait of him on Vultures.
Okay.
Yeah, on the Vultures cover, he's holding up I think on Vultures 2.
Okay.
He's holding up a photo of
Hopefully we get that project.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
What's cool is we ain't hear shit from Kanye.
No.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. Wait, throughout when?
Right now for Vultures 2. It's supposed to came out. It's supposed, like, as we're recording, it's supposed to came out on August 2nd. It's not here, but we just haven't heard a word from Kanye.
Yeah, but I mean, I figured that's what happened though. But yeah, Sorry Mama is the proper introduction or end of this album, right? And it features Ty Dolla $ign, which is such a good ending, because it ties together the whole thing. He apologizes to his mom for his night out, for all the shit that he did, and just for his upbringing, how hard he was to raise.
Right.
I think it's such a pivotal part for this album, and such a proper closer. What you think?
I love the closing and this rating, man. Yeah, like this was like you want to know what's crazy? There's no loose ends on this fucking album.
Yeah.
This album is wound pretty tight.
Yeah.
It's wound pretty tight, and like it also makes me like I want to know like more about like I gotta like, cause all right, that YouTube clip thing, the 10th anniversary thing that I told you, getting through conversation with YG is very difficult because like he kind of like talks, like he gives you very minimal stuff in conversation. So I guess I want to talk to the producers and the other people that made the album to like understand like what made them make it so cohesively like functional. But like I said, again, I think that just naturally comes because people from the West Coast naturally have a knack for cinema.
Yeah, you're right. I think that would be really interesting. I think the legacy of this album should be played up a lot more. The storytelling is really good. It's not even that. I think because YG has such a great story, he doesn't even necessarily have to be such a great MC, because he's not this like talented wordsmith. Miracle, yeah, you know. But his storytelling is good enough to where the production just needs to be really valid, and you know, it needs to be very concise. Because even his follow-up, Still Brazy, was really good. You know, I actually don't think he has a bad album, but this album out the gate changed a lot of people's perspective of how he would develop as an artist.
True.
Yeah. So you want to get into ratings?
Yeah, man, let's get into that rating. I give this a 4.5 out of 5 waffles. Because this album, like this, I can just say that like, okay, I mean, is not that lyrical or whatever like that. Like some of the singles are cheesy. But no, like I said, his album is wound tight.
Yeah. Even the deluxe, you know how the deluxe is, sometimes you'll have like some songs that just throw the album out of whack. Even the deluxe still falls in line because the song after Sorry Mama is When I Was Gone. He's talking about his time that he served.
Right.
You know? And then Bompton. Bompton is like a really good closer for an album that was supposed to be called Bompton.
Right.
So yes, I can echo and give it a 4.5 as well. Were you done with your?
I'm done. I can't call it a classic rap album right now. I will put it like this. It's been 10 years and I still don't feel like it's a classic rap album. So that's why I'm like, all right, it's really good. And one other thing I'll say, like, cause I had a really long conversation with my boy Faquan about this the other day. Like, just cause like an album is really good and you really, really like it, it doesn't have to be a classic. Like sometimes it can just be like a very superior album,
right,
or a pivotal album. But like, I feel like this album isn't a classic, but I can understand why some people will argue that.
I can too. I think this album is amazing. I think the only thing that probably stops it from being a classic album, funny enough, is YG. I think he's limited as a rapper.
Yeah.
I think his perspective is fresh. His story is great. He has all the makings of a rapper, but just doesn't have all the, I don't want to say like dialogue, but like, you know, the lyrical capacity, I guess you could say, to like flip this story into a better story. I think something, the story is there. The production is there. Him lyrically falls a little short to really escalate this. I think everything that he did with this is impressive as hell. And the story is so good. And I think if his lyricism was just elevated just a notch, it would have made this an undeniable.
Yes. I think the problem is that like, because we got Good Kid, Mad City and we got the documentary prior, so we got those perspectives of Compton, like it kind of like watered, it kind of like it wasn't as impactful with his version of Compton.
Yeah.
And I think that's the truth. So it's like, and I feel wrong saying it truthfully, but like that's the truth. I got the documentary and I got Good Kid, Mad City. So it's like they kind of beat him to the punch.
Yeah.
Of depicting the story of Compton.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the truth.
Yeah. I think yeah, you're right. But you know, that's not to say that doesn't negate the fact that this is a great album and it deserves a revisit, especially 10 years later, man. And he deserves that credit for being around for 10 years and still putting out really good music.
Yeah, I agree.
He's still out here.
Right.
And good merch. He's putting out good merch too.
Oh yeah, man. Yes, man. Yeah, man. 400. But yeah, like that's the thing. And I will say that about a lot of people. If there was an artist that tried to make a project about Queens, I would be like, damn, Get Rich or Die Trying really made it hard for you to make a great album about Queens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think like that's just one of those.
And shit, Illmatic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a very hard, it's hard to like follow up, fill somebody else's shoes in. I'm sorry, I have this knowledge in my head, I can't ignore it and then just act like it don't exist.
Right. But we encourage you to listen to YG's My Krazy Life if you haven't, or revisit it. Let us know what you think. I'm Just Klass Regg.
And I'm Taurian B.
We're out of here.
Catch you next time.
Today.
Done.